Hello and welcome to Sunday's edition of Cracking the Cryptic and the most extraordinary Sudoku discovery by Philip Newman. Now, some of you may remember Philip's name because we covered a puzzle of his a few months ago on the channel, which was called Tatooine Sunset. Now, that generated an awful lot of discussion in the community. It was a brutally difficult classic Sudoku, and the puzzle on the screen is a classic Sudoku. Now, we don't do classic Sudokus very often, but we are choosing this one with good reason. Today is, of course, Pi Day. It's the 14th of March, obviously, and if you write that in a certain way, 3.14, it's redolent, of course, of the irrational number that we all know and love. But what on earth has Philip done here? Well, as I say, this is a classic Sudoku, and it contains just 22 digits, which is a relatively small number, but not remarkable in and of itself. There are Sudokus that have unique solutions with just 17 digits. This one has 22. 22 would suggest it's probably quite a hard puzzle, and indeed the testers say this is quite a hard puzzle. But we'll get to that in a minute. The 22 digits that in this puzzle are arranged rather beautifully, symmetrically in the grid. What do I mean by that? Well, I mean if you were to rotate this square around the grid 180 degrees, you would find this square, and you find there's a digit in both of these squares, and that's true for any digit we pick in this grid. If we pick this digit, rotate it round, it's the equivalent of this square. There is a digit in this square. This square has a rotational counterpart here. So it's a feature of very good Sudoku puzzles is that they often have symmetrical patterns to them. This one does. It's nice, but it's not that remarkable. These 22 digits are arranged over exactly 7 rows of the Sudoku. That's quite interesting, but not remarkable, except you may think, well, 22 digits arranged over 7 rows, 22 divided by 7 is often used as an approximation for, pi. So there is a definite pi theme going on. But here's the kicker. The 22 digits that Philip has put in this puzzle are the first 22 digits of pi. And they're the first 22 digits of pi in order. 3.14159.265, etc. Now, my knowledge runs out around here, but if you go to the internet, you'll find lots of sources. This is what rather nice one I found, where, you know, the latter digits are there. So 265, you can see 3589793. 3589793, etc. These are the correct 22 digits, first digits of pi in order. And apparently this has made a solvable Sudoku puzzle. So, I mean, I use the word discovery at the start of this video because that this exists in nature is astounding to me. That you can put the first 22 digits of pi symmetrically in the 9x9 grid, and that will yield a uniquely solvable Sudoku puzzle it's incredibly weird. It's incredibly weird. It's like a gift from the universe. And you know, Philip has discovered it. I've no idea how. I suspect, I think he's a brilliant mathematician and also something of a computer whiz. So, I mean, it's just amazing. And I happen to know that his wife's birthday is none other than Pi Day today. So a very happy birthday to Philip's wife. And I hope that us solving this on the channel goes some way to making it a good day for the pair of you. Now, we'll get to the rules in a minute. It won't take long to explain the rules of this puzzle. It's a classic Sudoku. But a couple of things I wanted to mention before we get started. Over on Patreon, we have got Scott Strossal's solution video for his Tracking the Triptych Sudoku challenge. That's definitely worth looking at. That challenge was seriously hard. I found it very difficult. And Scott goes through his own puzzles there, which is always quite an interesting thing to hear. So we've released that this afternoon. We've got the Wonders of the World Sudoku Hunt that many of you are enjoying. That's over there too. And we probably won't release this today, but we will in the coming days release a video Mark's made of him attempting to solve last week's 6 times crossword, so Monday through Saturday, in an average of 6 minutes per puzzle. I won't tell you whether he achieved it or not, but I will tell you it's worth watching, especially if you have any interest in cryptic crossword solving, because it's pretty humbling. And I say that as somebody who is, who is okay at solving cryptic crosswords myself. It's baffling how quick he is. So yeah, do have a look at that if that might float your boat. Now, what are the rules of this puzzle? They are normal Sudoku rules apply, i.e. we've got to put the numbers 1 to 9 once each in each box, column and row, and that's it. So do have a go at this yourself. If you're new to the channel, you may not be aware, but you can always play the puzzles yourself. You just click the link under the video. It will take you to a page that looks identical to this one, whereupon I get to play. Let's get cracking and see how we can solve this puzzle. I can put a 3 in the grid there straight away. There we go. We can solve it. 9 in the grid straight away. That's just these 9s interacting. 3 up here straight away. I'm not going to pencil mark where a 1 can only go in 3 positions in box 3. I don't like to do that in classic Sudoku. This 7 is giving me a 7 here. So those squares now have got to be 1, 2 and 4 in some order. And in fact, look, we've got a 2 and a 4 in column 7 already. So that's a 1. And we can get rid of the 1 pencil marked from these squares. What else have we got here? We've got 2. Just use the pencil marks. 2 and the 2's there. Place a 2 in this square. 6 now has become powerful. Look, in row 4, because it can't go in these squares. It's definitely not in those squares, so it's got to go in here. These squares are now 1, 4 and 8 in some order. Can't put 1 here, can't put 4 there. This square must be a 7 by Sudoku, just to complete the row. These squares are 1, 4 and 6 in some order, and we have a 1 and a 6 already in the column. So this is 4, and this is a 1, 6 pair. This is very unusual for me to have so much of the grid done this early on in the solve, but it's a pleasant change. 5 and 8 have to go into this row to complete it. We've got a 5 here. 5 and 8. 5's in one of those squares. As is 9. There's a 9 in one of those squares too. So let's shift the pencil marks round. 5, 9, 4 has to be down here now. Ah, this is nice. So, oh, by the way, if you're not used to my pencil marks, 4's in the corner of cells like this is box logic. So what I'm saying here is that in the box that the pencil marks appear in, these corner pencil marks, the 4 can only go in 2 places in that box, here or here. Where I put digits in the centre of a cell, like this one, that's cell logic, not box logic. What I'm saying about this particular cell is that it can only be 5 or 9. And this sort of combination of pencil marks is how I solve all puzzles, basically. So 4 has to go here by Sudoku. That gives me the 4 and the 2. So again, I can see that 2 is in one of 3 positions here. So I could do that, but I don't like to in classic Sudoku. In variant Sudoku, I will do that all the time, but not in classic Sudoku unless I get very badly stuck. 8 has to be in one of 2 places. Let's put it in like that. 1 has to be in 2 places now in box 3 because of the 1 we've now got down here. Okay, and we're now running into a bit of an impasse, I suspect. 3 has to be in one of those 2 cells. 2, 4, 4. Ah, yeah, look, 4 in box 2. Where does it go? It's got to go here by Sudoku, which places 4 here, which means this is a 4, and we get a 1, 8 pair in box 4. 2 and 6 have not been placed in box 1 yet. Where do they go? They're going to have to go into those 2 squares. And in fact, I'm now seeing, I didn't see it before, but 2's, the 2 has to go there. So the 6 goes here. That 2 will allow me now to pencil mark the 2's into those 2 squares. I'm happy to pencil mark into 2 squares in a box. And these squares have got to be 7 and 8 to complete the column. 8s are an X-wing now in these positions, look. What do I mean by an X-wing? Well, if we look at the 8's positions here, in the finished solution, we'll either see an 8 in this square, and if we do, we'll see one in this square. So we'll either see both of these squares being an 8, or we'll see both of those squares being an 8. One of those things must be true. Now that means, so this is where the X-wing gets its name, because you can sort of do a slash of an X down here and a slash of an X down here, but that means that there can't be any more 8s in any of those squares, because if we do try and put an 8 here, for example, what will happen? We'll have to put 2 8s into those squares, and that will break the rules of Sudoku, so don't do that. That's naughty. So now we should ask where the 8 goes in row 2. It's not here, so there's definitely an 8 in one of these two cells over on the left-hand side. Okay. So what do we do now? Is this where we're going to grind to a complete standstill? It might be. This column maybe? We've now got 6 digits in this column. Oh no, I haven't. Look, I've got 6 here. I can do better than that. 6 and 1. So this has got to be 4 and 7, and the 4 can't go here. So the 4 and the 7 go in. This isn't a 4. These squares are 1 and 8 to complete the column. So we've actually done really well here. There's a small piece of logic we can do with 1. So if we look at 1, 1 is locked into one of 4 places in box 9. Now I could pencil mark that, but it's overkill. But what I do notice is that the 1s therefore are locked into row 8 and row 9 in both box 8 and box 9. So that allows me to ask, where does 1 go in row 7? Well, it can't go here, it can't go here, so it's got to be in one of these 3, and it's therefore got to be in one of those 2. So it looks like I'm grinding to a halt now. 6. Oh, no. I looked at 1s. Let's look at 6 and 7. 6 and 7 have to not be there. 6 and 7 have to not be there. There's a 6-7 pair in the corner. I can see that's going to do something for the 1s, but let's just check what the 6s and 7s do over here now. So hang on. 6 now has to be in one of those 2 squares, where it joins its friend the 1. So we now know that these 2 squares have to be a 1 and a 6. Therefore, they cannot be anything else. So we can put 1 and 6 into here, and now we get a 7 into this square, which means we get an X-wing on 7s in the top. This puzzle, how can this puzzle exist? It's not just extraordinary that you can make a classic Sudoku out of a perfect arrangement of pi in order in 7 rows of a Sudoku, but it's actually a really good Sudoku. It's quite incredible. And look, 7s. I've now got an X-wing on 7s, same logic as with these 8s over here. So now we know the 7s are either in these 2 squares or they're in these 2 squares, which means that there's no 7 here, there's no 7 in any of those. There must be a 7 at the end of row 2 in one of those cells, which actually doesn't look like it's going to be that helpful. But the other thing I noticed about this is when I got the 6-7 pair, the 1 now suddenly is promoted, if you like. It becomes more powerful. It now can't go in those squares or these squares, so it must be in one of those, and therefore we get the 8 and the 1 figured out. 8, no, not quite. 8's in one of these 3, which again I won't pencil mark. 8, so 2, 4, 6, so it's the same digits, look. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. 2, 4, 6, 7, 8. So what am I going to do now? Well, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to look along here. This square now, if we look along this row, this square can only be 5 or 9. So, oopsie, I didn't mean to do that. 5 or 9. But I'm going to look at the places where we've got sort of a lot of population density in terms of digits. And so this column strikes me as immediately interesting. This row, I've got 5 digits in it. This row, 5 digits in it. This column, I've got 5 digits in. So those are the places where I'm next going to attack the puzzle and see whether there's anything that we can learn. So let's look at this column first. We need 3, 5, 8 and 9 into the gaps. So this square can't be 5 or 9. That has to be 3 or 8. Okay, I can't see anything else there. I may well miss things, by the way, as we go through. That often happens. 5, 7, 8 and 9 into this row is in the gaps. So 5, 7, 8 and 9. This square sees 5 and 7. That can only be 8 and 9. This square sees 5 and 8. That can only be 7 and 9. This square sees 8 and 9. So that can only be 5 or 7. So we've actually done quite well in row 2. But again, what I'm not seeing is in the cells that are now very restricted, I'm not seeing any patterns. And it's patterns that we love. No, sorry, I'm not. Let's look at this column. We need 2, 5, 8 and 9. We've got nothing good there. Nothing good there. Nothing good. Oh, no, we have got 2 and 8 there. That's just 5 or 9. No, that was a big disappointment. Column 1 has let us all down. Now, let's have a look at this row. We've got 1, 3, 5 and 9 along there. 1 is already in one of those two squares. 5 is here. So this square is only 3 or 9. So every time I get one of these pairs, I'm sort of comparing it with things that are around, trying to see whether I can spot patterns, and I'm not doing a very good job. So 1, 3, 5 and 9. This square can be lots of things, I think. This square can only be 1 or 5 because it sees 3 and 9. So this row and this row yielded quite a few pairs, but nothing. No, there is something. I have view now. I have something here, because look at the pattern of givens here. 5 givens, so we've got the same gaps, if you like, in row 2 and row 8. Exactly the same positions open. But there's a 5 here and a 5 here. And that's what our pencil marks were telling us, is where is the 5 in row 2 of the grid? It's only in one of the sort of flanking cells of the row. Where is the 5 in row 8 of the grid? It's only in one of the flanks of the row because of the 5s here and the 5s here, and the givens being identical. So that means we have a classic X-wing, and this is a proper X-wing. These are X-wings, but they are sort of, a less advanced form. This is the full Monty, because this spans boxes of the Sudoku, and it's much, much harder to see. And what does it mean? Well, it means sort of the same thing as we saw with these patterns. Because the 5 in row 2 is only in one of two places, and the 5 in row 8 is in one of two places, we know in the finished grid there'll either be a 5 here and a 5 here, or there'll be a 5 here and a 5 here. So the thing to realise is that this restricts where 5 can go in the columns. So in those squares, these squares, although that one is a bit less important because there's already a 5 here, so we already knew this one couldn't be 5. But you definitely cannot have a 5 in any of these now greens. Oh, not that one. That's definitely a 5. You can't have a 5 in any of the green cells. Now, you may be asking, why not? Well, it's very simple once you've got your head round it. But let me explain. If we looked at the finished solution to this puzzle, how many 5s are we going to find in column 1 of the grid? It's not a trick question. There's only going to be one. That's the rules of Sudoku. There will be one 5 in this column. How many 5s are we going to find in column 9 of the grid? Yep, it's 1 again. So in these 2 columns, we are definitely going to find exactly 2 5s. But how many 5s are going to be contributed to those 2 columns by row 2 and row 8? Well, the answer to that is 2, because we know that the 5 in row 2 is either in column 1 or column 9, and the 5 in row 8 is either in column 1 or column 9. So the 2 5s in row 8 and row 2 and row 8 are definitely the 2 5s that must exist in column 1 and column 9. There can be no more 5s. So we can't go and try and put a sort of another 5 up here for exactly the same reason it didn't work when we tried to put an 8 wherever I put it over there. What will happen is in this row you'll have to put a 5 here, and in this row you'll have to put a 5 here, and that will most certainly give you a problem. Don't give yourselves problems. Don't put extra 5s in the column. We can now look at the green cells knowing they can't be 5s and see what they can be. So this square, if we look at the column, it's 2, 5, 8, 9. So we're just down to 2, 8 or 9. Oh, it can't be 8. 2 or 9 in this square. Can't be 8 because we've got this, we had the X-wing going on. Again, it's getting close to interesting things, but I'm not seeing how to use that one. So let's look at this one. We've got, so if we just have a look at the column, we need 1, 2, we know it's not 5 because of the X-wing, so 1, 2, 6 or 7 into this square. It can't be 7, 1, 2 or 6. That's a bit disappointing. This one I've already looked at, that's already 6 or 7. We knew that wasn't 5. But it was nothing to do with the X-wing, it was to do with Sudoku. Bobbins. Right, let's try this one. We've got, so again, we're looking to place 2, 5, 8, and 9. We know it's not 5, so it's 2, 8, or 9. No! You rotten thing. Okay, this is a total red herring, I'm afraid. This X-wing has done nothing. Oh dear. Oh, that's very surprising. Okay. So the best we did was this square became a 2 or a 9. 5 is a bit restricted in row 1 now because of these given 5s. 5 can only go in one of 2 places, both of which interrupt X-wings. Oh, that's right. Well, this is beautiful. This is absolutely beautiful. Good grief. I do not know what the name of this pattern is, but it is a pattern to me. 5 has to be in one of the red squares in row 1. Well, if it's in this one, it's interrupting our X-wing on 7s. So if we put 5 here, we know the 7s will do that. But that, once we place this 7, it interrupts the X-wing on 8s. So you'd go, if you go 5 here, let's do this slowly, you have to go double 7 on this X-wing, and you have to go double 8 on this X-wing. Now, if on the other hand, you put the 5 here, you've interrupted the 8 X-wing. So you have to go double 8 there and double 7 there. So these 3 squares are always the digits 5, 7 and 8, because you're always interrupting both X-wings depending on which one you choose. Now that is madness, and that seems fitting for today, doesn't it? So this square, this one can never be 8 because of the 8 X-wings. So this is just 5 or 7 now, and this one can't be 7 because of the 7 X-wing, so this is just 5 or 8. And we get a 5, 7, 8 triple in the row. Now that might open the puzzle up, because now these 2 squares we're only selecting from 1, 2, 6 and 9. This one can't be 1, 2, 6 or 9, I think. Can we do better than that? I'm not sure. This one, that one can't be 2, 1, 6 or 9. I don't believe it. Still not. It's still no good. This is gorgeous though. I mean, I feel like this must have done something to the puzzle. 5, 7, 8. Nine is now restricted in this column. Look, 9. Oh, is that what it's done? Has it got rid of a 9? Got rid of a 9. There used to be a 9 in this square, didn't there? Now there isn't. So the 9 is in... Nine's in one of those squares. In column 7, the 9 is in one of those squares. That gives us an X-wing on 9s in row 7 and row 9. It also means 9 is locked into one of 2 places in box 3. Don't think that does anything. So now we've got an X-wing on 9s down here. You could in fact use uniqueness to say this can't be a 5 or a 9. Look. Because if it was a 5 or a 9, you wouldn't know how these 5s and 9s should be arranged. They could be switched round. You could put double 5 here, double 9 there, or you could put double 9 here, double 5 there, and you wouldn't know which was correct. But I won't use uniqueness. I would in a competition, but not in a video. So what do we know now? We now know that because of this X-wing on 9s, you can't have any more 9s in these squares. This can't be a 9. So we've got 9s. That can't be a 9. This can't be a 9 either. So let's check this square actually, because this square also sees 1, 4, 6 and 7. Which actually I can see from the box as well. So I'm not sure how good this square is. 2, 3, 5 and 8 I think are the options. The X-wing doesn't, the X-wing on 5s doesn't affect this square. Oh, that 5 does though. So we'll take that. 2, 3 or 8 into this square. 2, 3 or 8. Which must be close to cracking this, is it? 2, 3, 8. Aha, we have our old friend the bent triple here. 2, 8, 9. Yes, oh, I'm going to get a digit. This digit I'm going to get now. Right, let us have a look at these 3 squares, because these 3 squares, maybe I'll get rid of the purple highlighting as well now, because these 3 squares, if they were all in the same column, we would know exactly what was going on. They would be a 2, 8, 9 triple. Here, they are not in the same column, but they still allow us to do some good logic, because we can look at this square and ask, okay, what if it's 2? Well, if it's 2, this square is an 8. If it's 9, and that's the only other thing it can be, this square is 8. So we know for certain that one of these 2 cells is an 8 in the finished solution. And that means any cell in this grid that sees this square and this square cannot be an 8. Now look, that means this square, which we were looking at just now, cannot be an 8. Let's remove 8 from it. It's 2 or 3 now. But more interestingly, this square can't be an 8. And if this square can't be an 8, where do we put the 8 now in this box? We knew from the X-wing it was in one of those 2 squares. If it can't be in this one, that must be our 8, and we get an 8 in the grid. In fact, that gives me an 8 and a 1 straight away. And that gives me a 1 and a 6. Which means that square. Now we're down to 2 or 9. We've now got a 2-9 pair here. Which means, yeah, look. Now we know that this square has to be a 9. Using our pencil marks. So we can get rid of 9 from this square. 9, we already knew 9 was in one of those 2 positions. 2, 3 and 9 down here. Can we keep this going? Feel like the puzzle is now right on the cusp of cracking. Yeah, let's have a look at row 2. I need to put 5 and 7 in row 2. This square has to be 5 or 7. It's C7. This square is 5. That gives us a 7 here. That's important. This 7 here is part of the X-wing on 7s we found, so we get both of those. Once we place this one, it interrupts the 8 X-wing, so it forces the 8s to be in these two squares. This square's a 7, obviously, just to complete that chain of thought. This square must be a 6 to complete that box. We can obviously finish this square now. That looks like it's a 5. That means that square's a 9. This square's a 3, a 2 and an 8. Good grief, that gives us the 2 and the 9 at the top, just using this 2. The 8 here finishes this square as a 5. 9, 9, 5. And all of a sudden, I think the puzzle is almost cracked, isn't it? What do we need to put into this box? 2 and 3. Yes, we do. 3 and 2 must go in like that. This 7 is fixing the 7 and the 6. That fixes the 6 and the 1. That gives us a 1 and a 5. And if I've not made an error, that's a 3. We click tick, and that's how to solve a remarkable thing. It really is. I mean, how? How can that exist? And how can it be such a brilliant Sudoku puzzle? How many X-wings? I mean, it was beautiful to solve. It was really a lot of fun. It was just perfect in terms of difficulty. Not nearly as barbaric as Tatooine Sunset was. And those are the digits of pi in order. It is quite sublime. Philip, I really like that, and I have no idea how you found that, but I'm very glad you did, and I hope you guys enjoyed watching it. Let me know in the comments if you are as stunned by that as I am, and we'll be back later with another Pi-themed Sudoku for Mark's edition. So thanks for watching. Back later, as I say.